Mrs. Rutter picked out a tea leaf with the tip of the spoon. She drank, patted the corner of her mouth delicately with a tissue. No, of course not. There was no one else seen it come down. We'd heard the engine and you could tell there was trouble. The noise wasn't right and we looked out and saw it come down smack in the trees. Of course, we hadn't a telephone, so there was no ringing the police or the warden at the Clapton. Dot said we should maybe bike to the village, but it was a filthy wet night, pouring cats and dogs, and fog too. And we didn't know if it was one of ours or one of theirs, did we? So Dot said better go and have a look first. But either way, the boy began, we got on our wellies on, and Dot had the big lantern, and we went off. It wasn't very far in. We found it quite quick, and Dot grabbed hold of me and pointed, and we saw one of the wings sticking up with the markings on it, and we knew it was one of theirs. We cheered, I can tell you. The boy stared at her over the rim of the cup, blank-faced. Dot said, bang goes some more of the bastards. Come on, let's get back into the warm. And we just started back when we heard this noise. Noise? Sort of moaning. Oh, cried the girl, how awful. Weren't they? So we got up closer, and Dot held the lantern so we could see. And there was 3 of them. 2 in the front, and they were dead. And they were dead. You could see that all right. One of them had his... The girl grimaced. Don't. Mrs. Rutter's chin shook. The pink and creamy chins. Good job you weren't there, then, my chuck. Not that we were laughing at the time. I can tell you. Rain teeming down and a raw November night. And that sight right under our noses. It wasn't pretty. But I've never been squeamish. Nor Dot, neither. And then we saw the other one. The other one, the boy said warily. The one at the back. He was trapped, see? The way the plane had broken up. There wasn't any way he could get out. The girl stiffened. Oh, Lord, you mean he was hurt pretty bad. He was kind of talking to himself. Something about mutter. Dot said, he's not going to last long, and a good job too. 3 of them, that'll be. She'd been a VAD. So she knew about casualties, see? Mrs. Rutter licked her lips. She looked across at them, her eyes darting. Then we went back to the cottage. There was silence. The fire gave a heave and a sigh. You what? Said the boy. Went back inside. Oh, it was bucketing down. Cats and dogs. The boy and the girl sat quite still on the far side of the table. That was 18 months or so after my hubby didn't come back from Belgium. Her eyes were on the girl. The girl looked away. Tit for tat, I said to Dot. After a moment, she went on. Next morning, it was still raining. Blow me if that bike hadn't got a puncture. I said to Dot, I'm not walking to the village in this. And that's flat. And Dot was running a bit of a temp. She had the flu or something coming on. I tucked her up warm, and when I'd done the chores, I went back to the wood to have another look. He must have been a tough so-and-so, that Jerry. He was still mumbling away. It gave me a turn, I can tell you. I'd never imagined he'd last the night. I could see him better in the daytime. He was bashed up pretty nasty. I thought he was an old bloke too, but he wasn't. He'd have been 20-ish, that sort of age. The boy's spoon clattered to the floor. He did not move. I reckon he may have seen me. Not that he was in a state to take much in. He called out something. I thought, oh no, you had this coming to you, mate. There's a war on. You won't know that expression. It was what everybody said in those days. I thought, why should I do anything for you? Nobody did anything for my bill, did they? I was a widow at 39. I've been on my own ever since. The boy shoved his chair back from the table. Oh, he must have been a tough bastard. Like I said, he was still there that evening, but the next morning he was dead. The weather perked up by then, and I walked to the village and got a message to the people at Clapton. They were ever so surprised. They didn't know there'd been a Jerry plane come down in the area at all. There were lots of people came to take bits for souvenirs. I had a bit myself, but it's got mislaid. You tend to mislay things when you get to my age. The boy had got up. He glanced down at the girl. "I'm going," he said. "Don't know about you, but I'm going." She stared at the lacy cloth on the table, the fluted china cup. "I'll come too." "Eh?" said the old woman. "You're off, are you? That was nice of you to see to my little jobs for me. Tell what's her name to send someone next week, if she can. I like having someone young about the place once in a while. I've got sympathy with young people. Here, you're forgetting your pretty jacket, Sandra. What's the hurry? Well, bye then, my ducks. See you close my gate, won't you?" The boy walked ahead, fast. The girl pattered behind him, sliding on the dry grass. At the gateway into the cornfield, he stopped. He said, not looking at her, looking towards the furzy edge of the wood, "Christ!" The wood sat there in the afternoon sun, wind stirring the trees. Birds sang. There were not, the girl realised, wolves or witches or tigers. Nor were there prowling blokes, gypsy types blokes. And there were not chattering ghostly voices. Somewhere there were some scraps of metal overlooked by people hunting for souvenirs. The boy said, "I'm not going near that old bitch again." He leaned against the gate, clenching his fists on an iron rung. He shook slightly. "I won't ever forget him. That poor sod." She nodded. 2 nights, 2 bloody nights. Christ! And she would hear, she thought, always. For a long time, anyway. That voice trickling on, that soft old woman's voice. Would see a tin painted with cornflowers, pretty china ornaments. "It makes you want to throw up," he said. Something like that. Someone like that. She couldn't think of anything to say. He had grown. He'd got older and larger. His anger eclipsed his acne, the patches of grease on his jeans, his lardy midriff. You could get people all wrong, she realised with alarm. You could get people wrong, and there was a darkness that was not the darkness of tree shadows and murky undergrowth, and you could not draw the curtains and keep it out, because it was in your head, once known, in your head forever, like lines from a song. One moment you were walking in long grass with the sun on your hair and birds singing, and the next you glimpsed darkness, an inescapable darkness. The darkness was out there, and it was a part of you, and you would never be without it, ever. She walked behind him, through a world grown unreliable, in which flowers sparkle and birds sing, but everything is not as it appears. Oh no.